Hi guys, I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, welcome to the family. My name is Dina. I am so happy to have you here. Oh my gosh guys, I've got a lot to talk about with you. And this video is going to be about synchronicities, messages, receiving messages from spirit, receiving messages from your guides, and also like how to tell that you have received a message, how to tell the difference between a message and just the mundane. Based on obviously my personal experiences, because this might be different for different people, let me just tell you guys, I had a video planned. I knew the stories I was going to tell, and then last night and this morning happened, and I was like, oh my goodness, now I've got another story to tell you guys. And this one is extremely emotional, extremely personal, but so powerful and so amazing that I'm like, I have to share it with you guys. I don't know, I feel like when something this powerful happens, I think it's important to share these stories with other people because other people might find it comforting in a way as well. So in this video, just to clarify what we're going to be talking about, we're going to first talk about a couple stories that I had, the more lighthearted stories about synchronicities, and then we're going to move into how do you know you've received a message, ways that you can really tell the difference between receiving a message and just the mundane. And then we're going to talk about how do you receive more messages from spirit, because there's definitely things that you can do to open yourself up to receiving more, and I have personally done these things in my life and I've definitely received way more messages than I used to. And then at the very end, we are going to talk about that more emotional experience that I had last night / this morning. I want to save that to the end so I am not an emotional mess for this entire video. Get comfy, get yourself a tea, get yourself a snack. We're going to be talking a lot. This is a chit chat style video, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So the first story I want to share with you is a message that I've received from some pets. Now the first story that I need to kind of share with you in order to show you the pattern with a more recent story is the story of my parrot Patrick. Now I actually already talked about this before. I'm not going to talk about the full in-depth story of all the messages I've received from my parrot Patrick, but if you guys are interested in that video, I will link it for you guys. I'll put it in the description box below, but this is the video that I talked about. So I did kind of talk about some sign synchronicities, so you guys might be interested in that video too. But I do want to talk about one specific detail in that experience because it does have to do with something that happened more recently. So Patrick was a parrot that my family had adopted a while back. It was before this channel, so before I even started this channel, you guys haven't really seen anything except in that video. I do show some clips of Patrick, but he was already elderly when we adopted him. So the day that he passed away, my mom and I went to Canadian Tire because we wanted to see if we could find some sort of gravestone for him. We actually have a pet cemetery in our backyard. So we went to Canadian Tire, and then as we're walking down the aisle, we we come across this little old man, this cute little old man, and he had a bird on his shoulder, just walking around in the store with a bird on his shoulder. And my mom and I are like, oh my God, like what a weird coincidence, right? And we walked up to him and my mom was so emotional and she was in tears and she's like, we just lost our bird today. And then he was so sweet. He's like, hold out your hand. And like the bird came onto my mom's hand and she was like, it was touching, but it was like very emotional. And then I got a chance to hold the bird on my hand. The bird's name was Cheeky. And we're just like, thank you. Like this meant a lot to us. We just lost our parrot Patrick and it was just like really touching. And then when we got in the car, I'm like, Mom, that was our message. Like that was our message from Patrick. He was telling us that he's okay. Like I couldn't think of a more clear message than that. And we were dealing with a lot of guilt at the time, as you often do with pets, loved ones. You wonder, if you could have done more. You wonder if you should have seen the signs sooner. So yeah, it was just a very beautiful message. And then guys, you guys know I lost my lovebird Pablo. And that was very sudden and abrupt and unexpected as well. And it broke my heart, guys. Like I still miss him so much. But about a week or so after he passed, when I actually left the house, because I don't leave the house a lot, obviously I'm starting to a little bit more as things get better, but we all know because of the virus it's important to stay home. I went for a walk with my best friend and we're walking along the waterfront, and then we turn around and we're on our way back to our cars, and I come across the exact same little old man with a bird on his shoulder. And I was like, wow, it was literally right after he passed away. And I walked up to him and I'm like, I think I've met you before. I think I've met you in the Canadian Tire. I'm like, what's the name of your bird again? And he's like, Cheeky. I'm like, yes, that's the same bird. And he's like, hold out your hand. And I held out the hand and Cheeky came on my hand, and I was like, thank you. I'm like, and I wish I had the guts to say it, because I think I was just uncomfortable because there was other people that were passing by in the path and I didn't want to just like take up too much space in the path kind of thing. But like I kind of wanted to tell him like, you're my guardian angel. Like you don't even realize that, you know what I mean? Like I feel like the spirit guides or my loved ones or whatever like has literally sent this little man whenever my like birds have passed. Like I feel like they set up this interaction, you know? It doesn't feel like coincidence. Like I felt it in my heart that it was Pablo saying I'm okay just because of the way it happened, you know? And a lot of people will probably say, oh, it's just coincidence, but I literally like I feel it in my soul that it was something more than that. So that was one story I wanted to share with you guys. The other story I want to share with you guys is about angel numbers, seeing angel numbers. And a lot of people think that, oh, you're just like looking for the numbers and stuff. And I think there's a difference between looking for the numbers and when something is very, very in your face, like this is a sign. So just so you guys know, I see angel numbers 888 and 88 quite a bit. Every single time it's shown up, for the most part, it's shown up in like my bank account. And it's shown up on like YouTube, which is interesting because 888 and 88 are signs of like abundance and success and also kind of like finding your purpose in life as well, depending on which one you're looking at. That was interesting. But when I see it, obviously like there's part of my brain that's always like, you know, this could just be coincidence. You're just seeing things that you want to see, Dina, blah, 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 blah. I believe that until this particular day where I saw these numbers, literally no joke guys, all day long. They were just showing up everywhere. But the one, and people could just say, honestly, this is just coincidence, but the one that felt so ridiculously like this is not coincidence, like the chances of this happening are kind of weird, was that I was working and I was in my calculator on my phone because I was calculating hours. So we have a client that we have to bill for hourly work. So I was calculating the hours for a certain task that we were doing, and I was given the numbers that were all literally random amounts of time with random decimal marks. And I calculated, I put in the last number, I hit equals. And the number that is in my calculator, guys, no joke, is 8.88. You can tell me that's coincidence. You can tell me whatever you want. I don't believe it because the chances of that one happening were pretty slim. And especially on the day where no joke guys, I saw this number 88 and 888 everywhere. I was like, okay, like this is a sign. And it was just so amazing and so comforting. I felt like my guides or the universe or spirit was telling me like, Dina, you're on the right track. Just keep doing what you're doing. Like you're gonna find your way. You're gonna figure things out. You're gonna be so happy. Like just like keep going. Like I felt so much comfort. And then the next day or two, I can't remember what day it was, I was on my Instagram and I was looking through Instagram stories and I came across one of them that was this little shop that I really like in a local shop. It's not in my city, but it's pretty close to my city. She got some new necklaces in her shop and these were angel number necklaces and I see 888 there and I'm like, okay, save me one, I'm coming to pick it up. It says 888 on it and I love it so much. It's a pressed penny, which is cool because in Canada we don't have pennies anymore, so it's kind of neat to have a penny necklace. I was like, I'm wearing this all the time because it was just amazing. Now I actually had another story to tell you, but I'm not going to because I have a even crazier one at the end. And if you guys want to hear more stories like this, like I can make more videos in the future. I just don't want to drag on too long. So the thing I want to talk about now is like, how do you know you're receiving a message from spirit? And I do have some notes here that I want to talk about. So the first main thing is patterns and repetition. I find a lot of us get a little bit too caught up in like trying to find signs and symbols and things. And I've done this before too. I'm not gonna lie. Like you see a blue jay and you're like, what does it mean? It's probably just a blue jay. But I find the biggest way to know if something is a sign and a symbol or if it's just mundane is the patterns and repetition. When you see patterns where like things just seem to happen at this perfect time, or the repetition of like constantly seeing this number, like this number didn't only show up in things that I just looked at, it literally just appeared before my eyes as I was calculating all these numbers in my calculator. If you start to see things like repetitively, I don't know if I said that word right, everywhere, then it's more likely to mean something than something that you just see once. So if you just came across one animal once, like, oh my goodness, this animal crossed in front of my car, chances are it's probably not a sign unless it continuously happens over and over again. So that's the main thing I want to say. Intuitive feeling, I think, is a big part of it. If you really feel it intuitively that this is a sign, like you just feel it in your heart and like your soul, then whatever, who cares what anyone else thinks as far as I'm concerned. A lot of the time these messages that we receive are comforting too. So if it's not harming anyone, if it's not harming you, I think there's nothing wrong with believing something in your heart is a message for you, even if other people say it's not. So like, who cares what other people say? I think it's important to like believe what you believe and just stay true to that. So I think it's an intuitive feeling, you know. Sometimes I'll like see something or like an animal or a bird and I'm like, oh, I wonder what the symbolic meaning of that is, but I don't take it super seriously. Whereas the experiences I shared with you, plus the one I'm going to tell you at the end of this video, it's just like I felt it on this other level, like the soul level. I know what this meant, you know, and it's just very strong feeling, and I think you need to trust that. I think also you need to open yourself up to trusting this feeling. If you're wondering how to open yourself up to receiving messages more, for me, I personally have noticed that I've also asked for it and I've invited it. I am very open. I am not closed off from that. And if you close it off, you're not going to receive messages. So I have very much made it clear to the universe by one, listening when I receive messages. I don't ignore it. So that's a big thing. You want to listen to things, you don't want to ignore it. But I've made it clear by also asking. Like, if you want to communicate with me, I'm here. Like, you can even say it out loud. You can say it in your head, you can say it out loud, but like, if you need to communicate with me, communicate. I'm open, I am listening. Even just declaring things like that is going to be really helpful for opening you up to messages from spirit. I think another important thing is to trust it, because definitely in the very beginning, I've always been very skeptical. I'm very much the kind of person to overanalyze and like try and look at things from like a scientific point of view. And I've really tried to trust my intuition a lot more than I used to. And you really have to trust it. When you receive a message and you feel in your heart and your soul that this is a message, then trust that it is. Because the more you doubt it and the more you disregard it and the more you ignore it, the less messages you're going to receive. So I think it's really important. And then when in doubt, confirm it. When in doubt, you can use tarot, you can use a pendulum, whatever kind of medium that you are comfortable with, honestly. I find using a divination method is really helpful to get a clear message, which is part of the story that I'm going to tell you about today. Another tip I had for you guys was also to record/journal your experience. So when you do this, it actually encourages it to happen more, I've noticed. I think it's the same way though with like dreams too. Like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when you journal your dreams more, you tend to have more dreams, you tend to remember your dreams more, you tend to dream lucidly more often. I don't know if that's the word, lucidly. You have more lucid dreams more often if you journal. So I think it's kind of the same with like spirit and receiving messages, that if you journal these things more often, then you are more likely to experience these things. Because it's another way of saying, hey, I'm open, like send me a message, I'm gonna listen to you. So I think that's another important thing to mention. Whew, I need water. We are gonna talk about the most emotional experience ever. And I'm going to try and hold it together because I want to be able to get through this story without bawling my eyes out and ruining my makeup. Just to give you guys some background, this story is going to be about my yaya, which is Greek for grandmother. My yaya has Alzheimer's. She has definitely gone a lot more downhill in the last few years. She was in a retirement home on the memory care floor for quite a while, and we didn't really want to have to move her, but we kind of felt forced out of it. It's a long story. Basically, we had to move her into long-term care. I'm not going to talk about the details about the facility or anything like that, but so far it has not been a good experience and we're hoping it gets better. My mom's been a very active advocate in her life to make sure she gets the treatment that she needs and deserves. Long story short, it's been definitely something we've all been really stressed about and worried about, you know, her well-being and everything. So basically, this story begins with my dream that I had last night. And in this dream, I walked into a room filled with my family from my mom's side of the family, including my yaya, my papu, grandma and grandpa, that were super healthy and vibrant like they were years and years ago. And when I walked into the room, my boyfriend Ian was greeting them and saying hi to them, and he started speaking a little bit of Greek, or what I assumed in the dream was Greek, because I honestly don't know Greek. I wish I did, but anyways, he was speaking Greek to them. And in this dream, I got this really warm, cozy feeling that my yaya taught this to Ian. They were like talking and chit-chatting. It was just very happy, and I'm like kind of observing, you know, observing the room of this family, just so happy and vibrant. And then it hit me. I became lucid, and I realized this was all a dream, and I started crying because I'm like, this isn't real. Our reality is much more dark than this. You know, we haven't had a vibrant get together like this with the family in a really long time. Like, Ian never really got a chance to really get to know them. Like, he's never really got a chance to really get to know my yaya before she was in this state. Like, he never met her before she had Alzheimer's. He never met my grandpa before he was really depressed. He didn't really get to know them. They never really got to know him. It has always upset me knowing that my yaya will not be at our wedding. So anyways, I'm emotional in this dream. I start crying, and everyone in the dream looks at me and they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, this isn't real. This is just a dream. This is not what it's like in real life. Yaya is not this happy and vibrant and healthy. And everyone starts kind of like consoling me and comforting me. And then my yaya comes right up to me, like right up to my face, close to me, and she just like puts her hands kind of like on my arms, and she's like, it's okay, it's okay. She's like, come with me, I have something for you. And she goes underneath this table, and it's like a brown tablecloth, and she pulls out an theme, and she hands it to me, and she's like, take it, it's for you. And then she says something that's very like inaudible, or in like something I can't really make out. She says words, but they don't really mean much, or can't understand what they are. And unfortunately, when I woke up, I couldn't really remember the words enough to even try and decipher them. But I woke up really upset, and then I actually ended up falling back asleep trying to search for answers. I was lucid in a lot of other dreams following this, trying to search for answers about this. I'm not going to get into too much detail about those dreams. There were other weird symbols and things, and it just kind of goes on and on. I don't want to make this video too long. I woke up, and when I eventually woke up, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, why did she hand over an athame to me? And if anyone doesn't know what an athame is, basically an athame is this knife that is used in a lot of different, you know, spiritual practices. A lot of Wiccans use them. I don't use them. I don't have an athame in my practice, so I was really confused by the fact that one showed up in my dream. So anyways, I had to actually Google it because I didn't really, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, I don't use one, so I don't really know much about what it represents. So I'm Googling, and different things that come up, and it depends on which culture or which, like, who's using it. Like, it depends on what they're using it for. Some people put it on their altar, some people use it in ritual. Sometimes it represents fire, other times it represents air, and people will use it to complete the 4 elements on their altar or whatever they're doing. Some people use it for casting a circle of protection in a ritual. It's also representative of the masculine energy. But the thing that stood out to me, and I honestly, this idea definitely came from a feeling of emotion and fear. So I wasn't thinking completely clearly when I was trying to decipher this dream. But I'm like, what if it represents like protection? Like, what if what if my yaya's soul is literally asking me for like a protection spell? Like, am I meant to be doing a protection spell for her? Like, does she need my help? And then I'm like thinking, my yaya never practiced witchcraft or anything, so why would she be handing down an athame to me? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, but maybe the athame is just a symbol of like passing something down to me. I'm like, maybe I'm supposed to do some sort of ritual with something she gave me. And I'm like thinking of all the things she gave me. I'm like, I'm trying to think of all these ideas. I'm like, what does this dream mean? What am I supposed to do? I did the only thing I could think of doing, which was to consult my tarot deck. And I actually decided to use my vibrant Rider-Waite deck, which, it's funny because I don't use this deck a lot. I like it, but it's very traditional, and I'm definitely more of a modern card kind of person. Like, I like the other ones. This was kind of more of a deck I used to learn the tarot than anything. But maybe I was more drawn to this because of the energy was a little bit more mature, a little older. And then, you know, my yaya's energy, obviously, she's an old soul kind of thing. I took my deck, I held my hand on my deck, and I just prayed, and I asked for some sort of guidance, some message that you can give me to clarify this dream. Like, give me some guidance. Like, what did this mean? I don't know what to make of this dream. Please help me. Shuffled my cards, and 3 cards flew out. Guys, I looked at these 3 cards and instantly started crying. I haven't had an emotional reaction to tarot like that was that strong ever. And you know, I've received really clear messages, but this one was clear as day and so emotional. And the 3 cards that jumped out were first the Knight of Wands, the 2 of Cups, and then the Wheel of Fortune. Now I'm just going to explain this for people that don't use tarot, because people that use tarot may be like, holy cow, like I see it, but maybe not. Maybe I'll explain it anyways. So the Knight of Wands, obviously all these cards can have various meanings depending on their context, depending on the positioning, depending on like what other cards are around them, but this is the message that I got. So the Knight of Wands is definitely this very young male, passionate energy, somebody that just comes in and sweeps you off your feet. And I was like, this was the first card that came out on its own first. And I'm just like, is this about Ian? Is this about my relationship? The message I started receiving was not anywhere near the message I thought I was gonna get, you know, and it's, some people think tarot is just like confirming, like it's confirmation bias. It's just confirming what you're already thinking. But I literally went into this reading thinking that this was going to be about my yaya asking me to help her or asking for protection and me having to do something basically. But I get this card and I'm like, I think this is actually about my relationship. I'm getting this energy that this is about Ian. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I'm really, really confused. Can you give me a little extra something to go off of? So I shuffled my deck again, and these 2 cards come out at the same time, the 2 of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. And then that's the moment where I started crying. So the 2 of Cups, if you guys aren't clear on what that one is basically representative of 2 people coming together in love, in union. It's a very beautiful card and a very positive card if you're asking about a relationship. Let's just say that. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is just luck and happiness and good things happening in your life, basically. Again, different people interpret different ways. What I basically want to get at is the message that I instantly received from this was that my yaya is happy for me and she gives me her blessing. And even though she didn't get to meet Ian in the way that I would have wanted her to meet him, even though she wasn't, you know, of full clear mind, and even though I'm sad that she's not going to be at my wedding one day, she'll be there in spirit. And I just got this strong message that she's like happy for me and she's supportive of my relationship with Ian and she believes that he's good for me and she sees that. And, you know, I always thought, like, my yaya never saw me happy in a relationship. My yaya never saw me meet somebody special, and she never got to know him. But, like, she did. Like, on this soul level, she did. And that's what I got from that. And then I thought back to the theme. I'm like, why the theme? Why this knife? And then I thought, wow, this makes sense now, because the theme is representative of masculine energy. And I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together before, but Ian has a knife collection and he's always just really liked looking at different types of knives and collecting knives. And by her handing over the theme, it was like her handing over her blessing of me and Ian being together. It was just like, wow. It was clear as day to me, honestly. You know, the way she approached me in the dream and the way she comforted me and stuff, it makes sense that she was actually just trying to give this clear message of, you know, love and support, you know, and it was beautiful. And I'm so grateful for this message. And people might be really confused because my yaya is not dead yet. She's still in the physical world very much. I actually went to this group reading a few years ago and very much believed that this medium was the real thing, because the details and the things that she was saying about these people's like loved ones, she couldn't have known. She definitely couldn't have known. You know, sometimes people get like very general with readings and you're like, okay, like they're just pulling this out. Like anybody could like kind of say that. But no, she was saying things that someone literally would not know about other people's lives. So I 100% believe that she was the real thing. I didn't personally get a reading, but I do remember her saying a lot of the time she'll actually receive message from loved ones with Alzheimer's who are still in the physical plane. And it's because in a way, their soul, yes, it's here, but their soul's also kind of left in a way. Like part of their soul is on the other side, and part of their soul is still here on earth. So Alzheimer's relatives, you know, loved ones that are unable to communicate in the physical realm here have often been able to communicate on the other side with her. So even though my yaya is still here, I felt like her soul was still reaching out to me in a way, which was just so beautiful and amazing. And I felt like I really received her love. And even though she's not going to be at my wedding one day, you know, she's definitely there for me in spirit. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. I'm so proud of myself. I got through this without like completely crying. Like I'm like tearing up a bit, but at the end of the day, I truly do believe in my heart that we are more than this. Energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. Energy can only be transformed and changed. And I believe that we all have souls and we all go somewhere really beautiful and amazing once we pass. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here so it doesn't get too long. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And don't forget to leave your comments below. If you have anything personal that you feel comfortable sharing that you want to share, I would love to hear your own stories. If you have anything to add to the, you know, discussion of like how to receive messages that I didn't mention in this video, I'd love to hear that too. Let's get a conversation started. I always love to talk with you guys. If you haven't already, I would love for you to join our family, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave. I would love for you to be a part of Magic Unleashed. You would get more videos like this one about spirituality and also self-help, self-improvement, witchcraft, that kind of thing. I post every single week and you don't want to miss out. I hope you guys have an amazing day and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!